Hi everyone, and welcome to the last talk of the day. We are super late in the time, but it's fine. And so just relax and enjoy. I'm gonna talk now a little bit more in general, not just what we are doing at QURECA, but we are, uh, what we have seen in terms of skills when we work with different companies, and a little bit about how you think about your career. So it's a little bit more general, and hope that there are some good advice and tips here. Feel free to ask me anything. So let's go. Okay. So have you thought of your career? Is your career plan a straight line? Because if it's like that, forget it. It's not going to work out. A career is going to be full of surprises. And this is really interesting. Otherwise, it's not exciting enough. You don't know what is going to happen. And we have heard today from a lot of people from completely different backgrounds that end up working in quantum. So you never know. But it's true that so far, wherever you are, if you're in your undergrad or doing your master's or finishing the PhD or a postdoc after 20 years doing software development, wherever you are, the question is, what is the next step for you? So small goals in your career and just see where they take you. So a little bit more about my career, just for those people who don't know about it. I'm an aerospace engineer. I'm from Spain. I studied there. And at one point, there was no pandemic. There was money in Europe, and I could have a lot of opportunities to go to different countries. So amazing times. And I ended up working in Germany. Why not? And so I ended up at Airbus. Being an aerospace engineer is kind of the goal that you have. And I work in Germany and in France. I had several positions in industry, from more engineering roles to more management, risk management, resource management. And that kind of gave me an overview of how industry and business work in general. But in the free time, people have different hobbies. My hobby was to study physics, and I studied medical physics and decided to study quantum, and it was just too much. And at one point, I asked myself that question, what do I want to do next in my life? And the answer was, I want a PhD in quantum physics. Crazy answer for an aerospace engineer in Airbus. And since I actually took that decision, to the time where I could actually change my career to study quantum physics, it was years. It was not like, I have this, I want to do this, and tomorrow I'm going to change my career and it's going to be like that. So for those of you who are thinking about changing careers take time, unless that you have an amazing opportunity that it comes and you take it and that's it. But in general, you need to be patient. That's why it's important understanding your skills and understanding the way that you go from where you are to where you want to go. So I ended up moving to Scotland, in Glasgow, where I am right now. I did 1 year master's and then the PhD. And I am now the founder and CEO of a company since 2 years, something that I will never imagine. How this happened? Well, if we think about any ecosystem when we create new technologies, you have the people doing the fundamental research, the science, people in academia. Then you have the people in industry who are going to use the technology that is going to be developed. Then you go from academia to industry because you have a lot of startups and a new market that is being created. You also have the government and the investors and the people putting the money into the academia. And you have the general public, the people who are reading the news, or people maybe like you that you start reading about quantum and quantum computing and quantum technologies, and you get interested in what is real, what is not. And all these people hear about quantum, and if you're not coming from, in general, from STEM, I would say probably for you, quantum mechanics is either weird or it's nerdy or it's just difficult. So for the lay audience to hear about quantum in general is like, yeah, that's Schrodinger cat, whatever. So there is a problem when we try to put this kind of stakeholders from this ecosystem together. And it's that when we talk about quantum technologies, the underpinning of this technology is quantum mechanics phenomena that is not easy for people to understand. As I mentioned, I moved from industry to academia in my career, and I tried to understand the things from a non-academic perspective, because it's from where I was coming from. And then I tried to realize how all these pieces should come together, because that's what I was doing before in the aerospace. Is just trying to understand how the things work. So when I was looking at that, I was like, but there is such a gap between the mindset, between the academics and the people working in industry. And we saw it just right now in our last talk, where the people who presented were not from technical background. And you mentioned in the comments, the layout of the presentation itself, the way they talk is different. There is a difference in the mindset. But if we think about all these other stakeholders of the general public and the governments, they also need to understand why quantum technologies is important. So there are all these gaps, and at the end, what we want is kind of that everyone understand why is this important, so to create a common language. So that's how I started with all these ideas. I would like to do something to feed all this together, and that's how I actually end up with QURECA 2 years ago. The objectives were always the same. I was going to events, I was trying to understand the network, and I was asking people, what do you think we need to push this new market in quantum technologies? I gathered that information and I created something to be able to help the ecosystem. And what we want is that everyone is ready for quantum, whenever quantum is ready, because quantum is a lot of different technologies, there are different fields, there are different companies. So it's not all quantum will come in 20 years and all quantum is ready tomorrow. But at the end, we want to create value. We are creating a new market, a new emerging market that is going to just grow and grow in the next years. So what we offer at QURECA, there are different kind of services that we offer. We have a professional service part or consulting, where we work with quantum companies in terms of business development. We help them to grow their business. We also work with end users. So the companies who are going to use the technology, they need to understand quantum as well. So we help them develop their strategy, build a strategy from understanding quantum to actually implementing quantum solutions within their industry and their company. And of course, we focus on skills. That's why we are here. It's about training and recruitment and resourcing. Is about understanding the skills, how you can apply the skills, and how you can grow your skills to get the job that you want, or for companies to hire that skills, that talent that are looking for. So we have a lot of different resources. We have on the education side, we have an online platform where you have different kind of online courses. We also work on more tailored packages where we work with different businesses to really create the specific education that they need for their business sector. We have webinar and workshops that we do in different topics. We have a blog, a lot of links that you can go and just learn if you want to learn more about quantum technologies. We have an events calendar. So all that is for free, so you can just access the events calendar and see all the different quantum events that are happening virtually around the world. Of course, on the recruitment side, we are working as a recruitment service. So if you are a quantum company looking to recruit, we provide you the recruitment service. But if you're a candidate looking for a specific job, for your dream job, just tell us, because we try to help you to go from where you are to be able to get that dream job that you have in your mind. And we, of course, create and organize career events and tutorial like the one today. And it's about community building. Community building in terms of business sectors, in terms of the technology, in terms of regions. We had our Quantum Latino event last week, but it's really about bringing people together. And this is what we are doing here today. It's about bringing the companies looking for the talent and the talent looking for the companies. So a little bit more about the online courses. They're all CPD certified, so you get credits. If you're a student, you have a student discount available that can go between 50 to 80% discount. It depends on the course. And we have introductory courses, and then we have now for the business, for the sector, that is for the financial services and financial applications. We have 2 different courses, and we are creating more courses specific for business sectors and also in general about quantum computing, quantum communication, and so on, and also in different kind of languages, because we thought that we need to be as well inclusive in terms of all the cultures. So what we do again is really try to develop quantum leaders. We want to build a quantum workforce in terms of training and in terms of resourcing. We support individuals to get that dream job, and we work with employers on looking for this talent, this great talent, these great individuals with specific skills. So if you're looking for a job, besides talking to the companies today in their booths, please send us your CV at info@QURECA.com. We can just check your CV. We can give you advice on your CV. We can tell you whether we have already some job openings that match your skills, but we can also just give you advice if you're not looking for a job right now, but in the long term, how to go to that point in your career. And just give you a little bit more a general perspective, because today we had companies from a lot of places. We had companies from North America. We had companies from over Europe. We have seen how companies also are delocalized, how they have offices in different parts of the world. And what is important is that right now, as some of you ask, can I get a job, a remote job? It's possible. Of course, if you need to work in the lab, it's not so easy. But if you're working on software, it's much, much easier. Relocation could be, so you have seen from some companies that they help you to relocate, but the work permits, and somebody asked about it, it's not so easy to get a work permit right now. So if you are, for example, in Asia, trying to get a work permit to work in Europe or US, it can be very, very challenging at the moment. But it all depends on your CV and your skills. If your CV is much better than another person, believe me that anything is possible. So really it's about really developing those skills at the end. And again, it's really in a lot of countries where you have quantum companies right now, in a lot of countries. So just don't think that if you want to work in quantum, you need to relocate to the US. There are a lot of opportunities. You have seen that today. But if you have any particular question about any particular country or company, feel free to reach out to us. And of course, about the sectors, most of the companies today are working somehow in quantum computing, either from the software side, from the hardware side, or the full stack. But you know that there are companies working in quantum sensing or quantum security and communication. And there is also this part of companies working on enabling technologies. Zurich Instruments is an example of a company that developed devices that are part of the supply chain for quantum. But there are more companies, like for example, laser companies or cryogenics, where if you're a laser engineer, you can work in a laser company that is working directly in quantum technologies. You are not developing a quantum computer per se, but you are working in a laser that is going to be part of a quantum computer. So this is very, very important, because I have seen a lot of you are engineers. You are coming from electrical engineers or mechanical engineering, and it's like, can I find a job? Yes, but it's very specific companies and very specific roles where you can apply your skills. But I have seen, for example, I'm going to give you a concrete example. Somebody with a background in mechanical engineering who has been working on material science and nanofabrication, who can be mapped directly to a role in quantum computing, because the skills that this person had were exactly the skills that the company was looking for. So it's not like, if you're a chemical engineer, can you find a job? It's really about, are you a chemical engineer with a background in software developing that you can maybe map to what Riverlane will be looking for in 6 months from now, for example. And of course, the question is, are actually companies recruiting? Well, you have seen it today, and yes, more and more we see that companies are recruiting. Whether this is going to change in the future, what we see is that the companies are growing, which is really, really good for the ecosystem, and that we know that there will be more and more jobs. You also know that we are in the early stages of the development of the technology, so most of the right now of the jobs open require more technical skills, but they mentioned today that they are also looking for all kind of skills. So this is going to change, and I advise you, if possible, to develop other kind of skills. And I'm going to tell you why. See, if we think about a bunch of technical skills across quantum industry that you see here, we have heard of these skills today. Most of you probably have one or two of these skills. It depends on your studies, your experience. But if we look in detail, you realize that some of them have nothing to do with being a physicist. Some of them is really from a person coming from engineering that has the skills that can be applied then in quantum industry. So what we are developing at the moment, and it's going to just grow in the next years, is really this new field of quantum engineering, where it's not anymore this foundational physicist. It's not anymore the fundamental research scientist. It's more about the application of the skills to a specific device, to a specific product that you are developing in the company, which is really the engineering way of doing stuff. So yes, most of you, if you move into the quantum industry, you will become a quantum engineer in one way or another. Another important thing is that the soft skills across the quantum industry are, if not more important sometimes, than the technical skills. Because I'm going to give you another example. If you have two CVs and the two CVs are identical in terms of the PhD and publications, what is going to stand out one from the other is that you have other skills, that you have done a course in project management, that you have experience in an internship, that you have done outreach. All these skills are going to be much more important, because it's really what is showing that you are not just the scientist, you are not just the researcher, but you are able to apply other soft skills that are necessary in industry. And another thing that we heard today is that not only technical positions are available. So some of you might like to pivot a little bit into sales or finance. So just think what you like and try to build a career in that direction. Okay, so that was kind of the general thing, a little bit about QURECA, a little bit about the ecosystem and the skills in general. But now I'm going to give you concrete advice on what you need to do for your career, or if you're thinking about applying for a job, some general tips. How to choose a career. And I'm going to tell you this again with another example. I remember somebody who came to me and said, I want to go into quantum computing. I started learning a specific language. I did one course, and yeah, I would like a job in that. And I was like, okay, what is your background? And the background of this person was experimental physicist. And I was like, so you have been doing experiments. You have a solid background in a lot of things that are needed in the quantum industry, and you want to go into software? And this person said, well, I understood that if you want a job in quantum, you need to code, to learn how to code in quantum computing, which was wrong. So it's really about, first of all, understanding yourself. So understanding what are your skills, what you like to do, and what you are good at. Again, it might be that you are doing theoretical software development in quantum many-body systems, for example, something very specific that you are coding the whole day, and then you're telling me, well, I don't really like to code. Then forget it. That's not the career for you. So it's really about understanding what are your skills, where do you want to go, what are the things that you enjoy the most, and how you can then explore positions in that direction. So then the exploration phase, and a lot of people here said that they were just understanding what the companies were looking for, so more than finding a job right now, which is really, really good. You are exploring, you're understanding, you can make a list of positions that sound interesting for you, and you can then start conducting formal interviews. And that's the opportunity today. You can talk with someone from a company with actually no ties. You can just go and ask questions and just see how you behave yourself. Try to assess yourself, try to assess the companies, ask about the culture of the company. We just saw in the last talk how important that is, and gather information. And once you have more and more information, then you're able to make your career choice. Because just saying, I want to go into quantum computing is very broad. It's not, it's not a career choice. It's just a field. It's the same that, well, I want to go into quantum. That's very, very broad. So try to identify specific goals. And as I mentioned before, try to identify your next goal in your career, and then try to write a career action plan to go for it. Some tips, advice for your CV. I see a lot of CVs every day, and I always say that you need to write that personal statement at the top. You need to have this summary, because it's what everybody's going to read. People are not going to go into your CV if in this summary at the top, these 2 or 3 sentences, is not written that you want to work in quantum computing. It's really, really important. CVs have developed a lot in the last years, and I can tell you that this personal statement is much more important than having or no a photo in your CV. It's describing in a couple of sentences who you are and what you're looking for. And always tailor your CV to the position you are looking for, because you might have different skills and you are going to apply to different positions, different companies. Your CV has to be tailored for that specific role, for that specific company. And please go 100 million times through it. Avoid any mistakes. Try to make everything looks nicer. Everything start in the same line. Use capital letters in the same places. It looks much better. It actually gives sometimes the yes or no when you see a CV, just the way it's presented. And of course, use LinkedIn, because LinkedIn right now is really powerful. It's what everybody is looking for. If the CV is good, I go and check the LinkedIn. If the LinkedIn is good, then I ask for the CV. But the two things are very, very connected. And again, it's about those skills and those experiences that are different from the other. That are different from I have a PhD in physics, or I have a master in chemical engineering. It's about creating your own experience. And I'm sure you have done something that is different from the person who was sitting close to you in class. So it's about what have you done? Have you, created a blog? Or have you been involved in outreach events? Have you worked part-time where you talk to clients and customers directly? All these things are going to show these kind of soft skills and different skills that are going to be differentiating your CV from other. And just to finish, if you go to an interview, and at the end of the interview, they will always ask you, do you have questions? If you say no, I would say you always have a question. Always. Anything. Just ask something about the job, something about how can you develop within the company? What is the culture of the company? How is the organization of the company? What is the process to get the job there? Are there more steps in the interview? But try, at least in the first interview, to try to avoid talking about salary or things that are anywhere, because if you're going to a company, I remember, I'm going to give you another example. Somebody came for an interview with us and started saying, I always wanted to work in a bank. And I was like, I didn't know how to react. So I was like, sorry, who do you think you're applying to? He's like, who are we? What is the name of our company? If you don't even know the name of the company you're applying to, well, just don't go to the interview. So it's really about all the things that just need to be prepared, and try to ask those questions that show that you're interested in that position and in that company. And I hope that this gives you some advice for your career. Remember that it's really about assessing yourself to understand what you love to do, what you are good at doing, that you can get paid for that, and that you feel that is that is the thing for you. And if you have to change careers, it's okay. I have done it, and I think it was the best decision ever. But I never regret what I have been doing before, or I guess I will never regret what I will do in the future. It's just continue love what you're doing. That's the most important. You need to find your purpose. Okay, so thanks a lot. And now, yes, now I release you. You can go and visit the booths and enjoy the lounge, enjoy the networking. And at 5 p.m. East time, we are gonna close the event. Thanks a lot for joining us today. And you know where to find us. You know my email, my Twitter, LinkedIn. So if you need anything else, just drop me a message. It's a pleasure talking to you. Thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna see if there are some questions. Are there any remote jobs or internships? As I mentioned, yes, and we saw today that some of the companies, they offer these. Normally, it's more on the software side, obviously. What I have seen also, some companies, if they are maybe building a new department or a new subsidiary in another country, you can work in your country for 1 or 2 years and then you can relocate. So that's another option. So just ask the companies. Not always the case, but everything is negotiable. I went from the skies to atoms. Yeah, from helicopters to atoms. Incredible. Huh? Is QURECA hiring? Not at the moment, but if you're interested in working with us, again, send us your CV. We never know. We just have more and more projects coming, so hopefully we will be hiring again soon. That companies usually do not hire people who don't have experience. Okay. That's this kind of a chicken and egg problem I heard a lot. And yes, it's true. Sometimes it's like you need to show that you have experience in order that they hire you. But normally what they will tell you is, I want either someone with 4 or 5 years experience doing this, or with someone with a PhD and a postdoc in the same topic. Which means that sometimes people with experience and a master's is going to be equivalent to someone with a PhD and some years of postdoc. Depends on the skills again. But today we have seen that a lot of companies offer internships, which is really, really good. And I can tell you, last year when we had this event, most of the companies didn't have any internship scheme. And this is showing me that they realize that it's needed. We are also, I can also announce that we are creating something at QURECA where the idea is to place people with a fellowship, an internship in a company for a short period, where you can gain the experience and the company can gain let's say, see how it is to work with you before hiring, which is a very good thing, I hope. So we are starting to shape that idea. But it's true that experience is important. So sometimes what I say is, if you want to go, for example, into software development, so what you can do if you don't have experience, you're interested in quantum, but you don't find a job right now in quantum. So what you can do is get software experience in another kind of a company, in another field, in another sector, gain experience at the same time that you continue training and educating yourself into quantum computing, and then you can pivot, because they have more and more jobs being created. So it's not like it's now or never. It's really about creating that path for your career. So I try to go through all the questions. How do you recognize talent, guys? I don't know if I understand your question, Mariam, but it's really about talking to them. I can see very good CVs, but I need to talk to the people and to be able to assess, yes, this is the person for this role. That's why today is very, very important that you talk to people, because you even you need to put your camera on, and they will see your body language and you will see the reaction. So you can already gather some information from that. So talent is not just what you have in your CV. Yes, in Italy there are a couple of startups now. Yeah, I can tell you more. Yeah, Alfredo, if you're interested. Yes, we offer career advice and coaching. This is exactly what we offer. Okay, I'm going to put again the email to forward your CVs. What is the ratio between the job market and the hidden job market in your experience? Good question. I think in quantum at the moment, it shouldn't be too much hidden because they are growing. If they need to hire, they need to get visible, and you will see that they are hiring. So I don't think it's happening much in quantum at the moment. But if I talk about aerospace, yeah, there were always the jobs that you will see being visible at one point. They were probably hidden before, and some people were already kind of applying. So this is something that is happening. That's why it's so important to talk to people. So if you're interested in a company, quantum or not quantum, go on LinkedIn and talk to someone in that company. It's just about creating a network and trying to understand what they are looking for. Maybe a company, they haven't even published that they are looking for quantum people, but they are thinking about it. So maybe they offer you an internship. You never know. What do you do if you graduate with a pass mark and no internship? This is something I was talking to someone this week about whether you should put your marks in your CV or not. In my opinion, you shouldn't put it, because if you have a master's, you want to show that you have your master's. If you have a PhD, you want to show that you have a PhD. No, well, in the UK, it's pass, no pass, so there are no marks. But what is really important, again, is about what you have done, what are, again, the skills, what are the projects. So unless that they ask you, you don't need to put your marks in it. Yes, because as I mentioned, write someone from that company. You can see who is working there. Probably you can find someone from HR or from business development that you can talk to. Just ask. If they don't answer, well, it's okay, but you don't lose anything. Just ask him. Sorry, Malaf, I don't understand your question. Masters or experience. With a master's, I would say right now, unless that is in engineering and you have done something very specific for quantum, is hard that you find directly a job that is very technical. So as I mentioned, for example, if you're looking in software and you don't have so much experience and you don't have a PhD in something very specific, just trying to build your experience in software development, your computing skills, coding skills, C++, Python, Linux, all of them, try to develop those skills, and then in your CV you can say, I have 2 to 3 years experience in each of them. That's much more, I think, much more relevant in a CV than saying, for example, I have 4 years of MATLAB, because probably at one point in software, what they want is that someone who is able to use different kind of languages. Yeah, I think I just answered your question, Brandon. Okay, I think I'm going to stop here because I want you to enjoy the booth, and you know where to find me. So thanks a lot, everyone. Thanks for being with us today, and I really hope that you find success in your quantum career. Enjoy the rest of the event and hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.